Welcome back to theCUBE's live coverage here in San Diego for FinOps X 2026. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE, with my co-host Paul Nashawaty, with theCUBE Research, covering this area like a blanket. We've been talking about the costs, understanding the costs of the FinOps, the token economics, but you got to know the data, and focus has been a real topic. 1.4 is out, focus is the FinOps open cost usage specification. Karl Kraft is here, Senior Manager of Software Engineering at Walmart. Very successful DevOps shop, very successful cloud native, and I'm sure they got a lot of AI. Karl, thank you for coming on theCUBE.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So obviously cloud native has been a great run, watching Kubernetes and all the developers using the cloud. But now with AI and tokens, token economics, and AI factories, the data centers is in play. People are using AI, using tokens, budgets are like popping, value's being created, but on premises and in the cloud. So, and it's highly accelerated. So, what's going on with focus? How are you leaning into the focus as a practitioner and a user? I guess customer, it's open source, but you're using it.
I think to really understand where I am with focus, it helps to understand where I came from.
Sure.
So when I joined the FinOps practice, back before it was called FinOps, I was handed some Excel files of our cost and usage from our cloud service providers, two different cloud service providers, and I looked at it and thought, what am I going to do with this? So we created a system, we started ingesting the files, we started using it, but we still were dealing with two fundamentally different pictures of our cost and usage data, as well as what we do on-prem. So I heard about Focus at FinOps X 4 years ago when it was first kind of announced by Udom, and I was like, that I want to be involved with. That is exciting, and so all of the work that I've done to try and make sense out of the multiple different billing standards and put it into one cohesive picture for our internal teams, I don't want everybody to have to go through that pain again and again and again. And with the number of new companies adopting Focus for their cost and usage data, it's becoming a lot easier to onboard a new platform, to take something you thought you understood already and break it down into something a lot more granular so you can get the cost back to the teams who are actually consuming it.
Give an example. Give an example of where that new platform came in or new provider. People don't know, what's it like? Give an example.
So, let's actually just take an existing billing feed that I had before and moving to Focus, right? So certain costs are billed once a month. You get an all-you-can-eat for a month. And guess what? At a company of our size, there are a lot of different people who are consuming and using it. How do you take this? You've bought a bus pass for your family or for you and your roommates. How are you taking that and getting it back to the cost on a daily average, getting it back to who's actually consuming it? And so with Focus, we have the effective cost. It's a new column. There's still the build cost. I can still see what I paid at each point in time, but now there is the effective cost, so I can see over the month, my $30,000 is $1,000 a day, and who consumed it each day rather than just a big upfront cost that, great, I have this cost and I don't know what to do with it,
so
right?
Karl, so Karl, you know, I love talking to Walmart as a company because you have lots of different use cases. You have lots of different things that are going on with regards to, you know, the scale of the number of employees you have, you know, 75,000 plus, you know, configurations. When we were talking about, before we got on the air, we were talking about the, you know, Kubernetes and the clusters and such. You manage all of that. So organizations that are, you know, looking at this going, well, it's Walmart, of course they have big systems like Focus to use. Is this something that small companies can use and they can get started? Or is it because you have multiple different kind of areas where you need to harmonize that data Is it easy to have that like entry point to get started with Focus, or is it like, do you have to be a very large organization?
I would say it makes sense for anybody. There are certainly there's a use case library out there. I can go and I can take generic focus data and grab SQL queries from the use case library to accomplish some of the easier FinOps tasks.
Yep.
So we talked about Kubernetes a little bit ago, right? So the 1.3 specification introduced the provider-defined split cost allocation. It's a mouthful, but it's a way for providers to natively tell you how much the individual pods are costing within your virtual machines. Rather than just seeing the cost at a virtual machine level, you need to build this instrumentation. You need to go take an open source project and start using it. No, you can get it natively in your billing feed now, and that's supported as part of Focus.
Yeah, and that's a big part of the chargeback model, so now you can do allocation. So instead of having these siloed systems and siloed processes, now you can have that harmonized with Focus. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, chargebacks are all about aligning the right incentives and driving the accountability. So I want to make sure that I'm showing the cost back to the right teams. I'm not doing allocations that don't make sense for the business, because when an individual team optimizes, the entire business should see the benefit of it.
We talked to the FinOps Foundation about 1.4, kind of teased out 1.5, they're already kind of jazzed up for it. Take us through your view of the transition. How fast has it moved with Focus from your perspective? And what do you need? What do you need? Like, they're watching.
It has come incredibly quickly. I've been involved in the Focus specification and helping write it since 0.5. And all of you say 1.4, I'm like, wow, we're already on 1.4, and actually as maintainers and contributors to the Focus specification, we've begun our dev cycle on 1.5. You know, the introduction of additional data sets to really help paint a much broader picture, it has been incredibly helpful, and we've got some of those that are scoped for 1.5 release already.
What does next year's 1.5 release look like?
I'm not committing to anything. You can go and...
Like, where would you think it would go?
So we are looking at a SKU pricing data set, because that's a common thing that we have from the different cloud service providers, but there isn't a standard approach to it. And even within one cloud service provider, you might have 3 different versions of the same data set that all communicate slightly different things. There's a lot to learn and a lot to know and a lot to keep in your head. So having this all well documented and standardized is incredibly useful for somebody new starting up.
I love your story. Your first example of the pain and suffering, I'll throw suffering in there. You just said pain. I'll put suffering in there. Necessity is the mother of all invention. What are the big first principles? How would you talk about the first principles of Focus? Because you start to see everyone seeing this. Common language makes sense. Open source is the perfect vehicle for that. If people want to rein in the costs, they got to know things. Data sets are coming online faster. Is there a first principles or a philosophy? You knock down the biggest problems first? Is there an intentional roadmap? Talk about the first principles and then like that roadmap thinking.
It is an open community, and anybody can get involved in it. And that's what's so great, is that we don't need to have these one person setting some foundational first principles that we all try to operate off of. Everybody is bringing their own perspectives, and the more people you get bringing their perspectives, the better understanding we have of the problem. We can wrap your arms around it a lot better. So we're getting a lot of feedback from the community. Focus.finops.org, you can go there. You can submit feature requests, talk about your pain points. We listen to the community, and we take all of that feedback in. Many of us are practitioners. We have people from the cloud service provider side. We have vendor tools, everybody's all coming together to make this specification and make it work, make it solve the problems that we're all facing.
You talk about the ecosystem, which is incredibly important, right? So let's talk about AI, because we can't have a conversation without having AI in the conversation. so how has AI changed what you're doing at Walmart with regards to focus, with regards to like, you had your previous way of delivering, now you're using focus, now you're looking at like next generation of where you want to go with this. Is AI the pivot point of it? Is it making it faster for you? Are you using agents? How is this all happening?
So actually, let me talk about the development focus and really how fundamentally that has shifted over the last 6-month dev cycle that we've had. We have introduced guidelines for agents. We've been, everybody's kind of been using AI a little bit, and you run it through your process and you still submit it as yourself. Now, with the guidelines, we're able to accelerate how quickly we're delivering the new features, and it is a great second set, third set, fourth set of eyes, right? We've all been staring at this for so long. It's like when you write a white paper and you read it through your own lens. Having AI read all of it, and it's like, actually, you said this thing over here, you said this thing down here, you said this thing over here, and these don't all jive. And so it's really helped us identify some of the subtle flaws that we've had. It's like, oh, yeah, we did say that thing, but we also said this other thing, and we're able to improve the spec quite a bit by having something that can ingest all of it into its head. Somebody described to me that a problem that is too large to fit in one person's head needs to go on a whiteboard, right? And we're onto multiple whiteboards at this point, and it's, again, wonderful to have something that can fit it all into its head.
But I'll say that 2025 was the year of experimentation and innovation, right? AI comes out, there's a lot of ways of doing things, a lot of things that are happening and you're kind of coming together. According to our research, 25% of IT budgets were allocated to AI projects in 2025. Okay, now we're in 26. 26 is a year of implementation. People want ROI. They want to know when they're spending their dollars on AI, these AI initiatives, and what they're doing with regards to cost optimization. What does that mean to Walmart? What does that mean to the foundation? What does that mean to the ecosystem when it's no longer just like a sandbox kind of playing, it's actually expecting ROI for the spend that's being allocated?
I think it's important to understand what you're spending your money on first. And so you need to be able to tie the entire story end to end to really get the value statement out of it. In 1.5, we have specific features we're working on around helping understand the AI spend a lot better.
Yeah.
Breaking
Makes
down
sense.
like what type of tokens, the what and why of it.
The tokenomics, right?
Much more detail.
Yeah.
And this is such a large thing that there is the tokenomics foundation. I have heard about this recently. I was like, wow, it absolutely makes sense. You need, it's a different set of practices, but in many ways it reminds me of the journey that we had from on-prem to cloud.
Yeah.
You need to relearn how to do things because things are moving faster. You get more granular, and of course, the scale of spend is so large, suddenly we need a new way of thinking about the problem.
Karl, final question for you. I'm curious, so you can answer it or take an attempt. It's more of an opinion. AI is all the rage, and I hear terms like injecting intelligence into your organization. AI factories is an intelligent edge. So when someone says intelligent FinOps, what does that mean? Like, are you injecting AI into FinOps? Is it being smarter with algorithms, data analysis? How should people think about bringing, because I'm sure people are going to say, hey, throw some agents at the problem. I mean, you can train agents down the road, but intelligence is coming. You can do more whiteboard space with Gen AI, What does intelligent FinOps mean?
So there is FinOps for AI and there's AI for FinOps. And in order to really understand all of your cost effectively, Focus is a common nomenclature that's going to really help the agents excel and process the data.
Speak the same language, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, which is the source of truth.
Yeah.
Karl, thank you so much.
Thank you, Karl.
Great to have you on theCUBE, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, FinOps, speak the same language. Getting those costs understood is about speaking the same language, harmonizing the data, getting access to the data, of course, tracking all the operations. I'm John Furrier, Paul Nashawaty. Thanks for watching.